There we go. That should be better. Hey everyone. Ignore those technical difficulties. We'll go ahead and mute the music there. And now we're actually live. Hello everyone. Sorry, I was rearranging things earlier on, and as I was moving the mic, it got detached from the computer, and then it couldn't read the signals, understandably. So hey, how you doing? Hope you guys are having a good Sunday. I saw someone in the chat saying, finally, you're here for one of these. Welcome, James. Good to have you here for a live show. The time changes have thrown me. Basically, the time changes have been whenever the heck I felt like it. So, sorry, I've got a bit of a sore throat from all my travels. I'll probably be hydrating a lot during the show. It came on worse last night. Took some ibuprofen to get to sleep. It's not that bad. But yes, welcome to the laziest show on YouTube. Yeah, I am putting out content because, as I've said, I'm committed to putting on shows for you guys, but also I am putting on the laziest show. I'm going to just be reacting to Carl and Kevin's recent chat because Carl was too afraid to have a live hangout with me, so I have to react to him in this way. We're going to get going. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Whoa, music, muted. Ooh, not just down, but muted. Yikes. Right. So I was just looking at the desktop audio here because we're going to get going. By the way, you guys, I should say before we start, you should go over to Kevin's channel at the usual happy hour time. Kevin and I are going to have a happy hour this evening. And if you're watching in the future, you can go catch the happy hour that I'm talking about by going over to Kevin's channel and looking at his happy hour playlist. We are going to be, well, it's not entirely determined yet what we're going to be covering. I mean, come on, it's how professional is our show. We've got some ideas though. One of the things that I proposed to Kevin that we talk about was a recent video that has kind of been blowing up in the reactions on the hip-hop scene by an artist called Tom McDonald. Said, "If I was black," which grammatically actually should be "were," because it's a hypothetical, not a real one. Sorry, my sound looks a little bit low, so I'm going to turn that up a little bit. That should be a bit better for you guys. My sound has been kind of random lately, kind of does what it wants. Anyway, doesn't seem to matter how I said it. I always end up softer than I intended. Maybe that's just my voice. But Tom McDonald put out the song, and I thought it was very interesting, and I wanted to get Kevin's take on it. So he and I are going to do, he's going to have a reaction, I'll have a review later on the happy hour, and I'm imagining we're also going to be talking about, well, in real world politics, Trump's fascism rolls on, as he did with the whole lock her up chant, where he initially tried to distance himself from it and then turned around within 24 to 48 hours and started defending it, and then it just became a staple of his rallies, Klan rallies, I'm going to say. He did the same thing with this. So we're probably going to talk about Trump's fascism perhaps a little bit, and we will also be talking, I can't imagine how we wouldn't talk about my interactions with Karen Strawn. I didn't mention it on the show yesterday, but Karen Strawn and I had an extensive back and forth on Twitter, which I found highly amusing, quite bizarre, and full of tropes. Just I guess tropes is the word I'm looking for, because they're just things that she does over and over again to get out of certain situations or to deflect in certain ways. So I want to talk a little bit about that exchange, because that was quite interesting. And yeah, a little bit more. I put on the camera. My hair, I have such a need for a haircut. My eyebrow, so my bangs should really come above my eyebrows, and they are like almost touching the bridge of my nose at this point. Well, we were just gonna see what happens with the hair today. Be on camera. Hope it goes well, because I do try to get on camera a couple times. I know it's more personable and interactive, but I didn't want to give up Lion Kitty either, so I kept Lion Kitty, as you can see this side, right there. It's a bit odd for me. I'm pointing in the opposite direction, but yes, didn't want to make you guys choose between me and Lion Kitty. All right. So back to the laziest show on YouTube. We're just going to watch this reaction between Carl and Kevin. I will check the sound. That sound here looks pretty low. Hopefully it won't blow you guys out of the water. but we'll do a little test. You can give me feedback. It was really helpful last time when you guys told me that the sound on the audio playthrough was a little bit low because on my sensors it looked even, but it obviously wasn't coming across that way for you guys. So I do want you to hear things. So thank you for that feedback, and do let me know if you can't hear anything or if it's too loud or too soft for you.
Cats everywhere.
But the same thing happens in America though, but the thing.
So to my readings, that's just a little bit louder than me. Is that about right to everyone? I'm going to back it up a bit, and if I don't see anyone complaining, then we're going to go from there. All right, so last time I think I left off at like 59:33, so I've rewound it a bit so we can catch up on the whatever it was that led into the last thing that Carl said. You guys ready? All right, here we go.
Thing is, there's also another aspect to America that I find really interesting, and that's nobody notices that you're there, and that's the opposite of the way things are done in England, where everyone knows you're there. They're just too polite to note to acknowledge.
Interesting.
And there is this understanding there.
Sorry, I'm playing with your sound.
Consideration.
My sound. So I'll have to do it on the master level.
It seems to have been a peculiar thing to this country.
I remember this conversation, Carl having some sort of random reaction. Like, he had a couple isolated incidents in terms of how people reacted in public. One was in Turkey and one was in America. So I think we're just going to skip ahead because that was, frankly, anecdotal evidence, cherry picking, and overgeneralization fallacies. So the sound is fine as long as you ignore the fact that Sargon is audible. Nice. I like that. Okay.
Black crime is still a problem, though, isn't it? Let's be honest.
So you are moaning?
Well, no, not about the people themselves.
All right, so let's go back because it sounds like he's being racist again.
Is down to this kind of societal level, because I don't think that people are bothered about immigration from, say, the Caribbean or something. I think that with the Windrush stuff, that to me was horrific, because I've met and I've been friends with
people still voted for the Tories. They voted in a fucking prime minister who literally did that.
Yeah, I know.
So they didn't care that much.
Yeah, well, that's because the alternative is worse, to be honest. But
again, Carl can read minds. He just reads minds of millions of people. It's amazing.
But the thing is that, like, we could, nobody's complaining about them. Nobody's saying, "Oh, these people are a problem," because they're not a problem. They
were at the time. Did you not grow up in the 80s and 90s? I remember the fucking people going on about black crime rates and stuff. I remember all of that.
Black crime is still a problem, though, isn't it?
But white crime is still a problem too. So I don't understand this focus that white people have on black crime when there's plenty of white crime that we need to be dealing with in our own community before we start wagging fingers at other people, in my opinion. So for me, black crime is just another code for let's talk about the criminality of black people in a coded way, and ignore the fact that I'm not criticizing white on white crime or crime in the white community, even mentioning it. Such racist BS.
To be honest.
So you are moaning?
Well, no, not about the people themselves. I don't think they're doing damage to the social fabric of the country. I think that this is an inner city problem. For example, I think specifically it's a London problem, frankly. Outside of that, there are lots of black people around, and they just seem like regular people.
They just seem like regular people. They are regular people. And also, what are you comparing them to? Black people who live in London who aren't regular people? Carl, you are so racist. Just your language belies your otherness of this community. You think you're being somehow open and inclusive, but all you're doing is actually revealing the fact that you think that they're, like other people.
They're just like everyone else.
Yeah, they are everyone else. They're not just like everyone else.
But I think that people are identifying with... Sorry?
What are the black people in London like if they're not like regular people?
Thank you, Kevin. Once again, we're on the same wavelength, mate. See? That's why Kevin and I do so well on our show together. Because we have similar critiques in our minds, and so we get each other.
Stabby.
What?
It's just the blacks that are doing that, yeah?
Have you looked at the crimes?
So he answers with a question. He doesn't say yes or no or give a source. He just says, have you done this? And of course, if Kevin hasn't, Carl hasn't either. He hasn't provided evidence. He's actually just sort of put the onus on Kevin. He is such a piece of crap.
It's in the same way that we can legitimately say the grooming gangs are a Muslim thing. The knife crime in London is an ethnically black thing.
All right, there are other ways that children are groomed. Look at Jeffrey Epstein. That was a white child grooming ring, right? So it's not exclusively Muslim. It's just the ones that you pay attention to are those, and you ignore any other community. Sorry, everyone.
Well, yeah, but in the same way that grooming gangs are not the totality of pedophilia. In fact,
I didn't say it was, mate. I didn't say it was.
The number of violent crimes that take place, stabbings.
No, I'm not looking to demonize or equivocate, right? I'm not looking to say no.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. No,
Thank you, Kevin.
I'm not.
You literally said after the election you wanted to go to Rotherham and hold a meeting about fucking paedophile gangs or something.
And
that's not antagonistic, really.
Oh, it's antagonistic towards the Labour Party, certainly. Because fuck the Labour Party, man. They presided over this. Honestly, man.
I don't see Carl being... If he cares about the sexual abuse of children, why isn't he talking about the Roman Catholic Church? Which is actually an international global conspiracy to move priests around and silence victims using money raised from Catholics to do it. Carl, where are you on that? Where are you on the Epstein thing? You keep focusing on Muslim communities as if this is exclusively a Muslim problem, when it actually shows that your narrow focus on Muslims is indicative of the fact that it's a racist issue for you, not about protecting kids.
Thatcher literally helped paedophiles get away with what they were doing. She covered up for pedophiles.
Undoubtedly. But she's dead.
But the Tories, they escape your rant. You're not going to go to, I don't know, where was she from? Buckinghamshire or something?
Yeah, probably.
And hold a similar meeting.
Well, she's dead. So I mean, who am I?
Most of the people involved in the grooming scandals were dead.
Not the current ones, no.
Well, the ones that are in prison, yeah. But I mean, like was it Cyril, what's his face?
Many of them are actually still in their councillor seats. So it's really rather concerning to me. I'm really bothered that, I mean, literally, mate, like, there are loads of cops who are arresting children who are the victims of these gangs. I want to know who those cops are. Those cops should not have done that. Like, it doesn't matter, like, what.
From my understanding, this was done several years ago, and they're still going on about it. And maybe Kevin can update this on the current status of things, but I'm pretty sure this was the subject of a national scandal and inquiry, and like, it's not new news. He's just rehashing old things. He wants to go back to things without checking where they are now, to be provocative and to be Islamophobic. And he can say it's about labor, but it's not really, is it? Because he could do that from where he is, but he wants to go there and be in their face about it. He could make a video about that and reach more people than by going there in person. So it's so disingenuous, this sort of political theater he's putting on.
Your political position is, if you walk into a room and there are a bunch of adult men who've drugged and raped a 12-year-old girl, you don't arrest the 12-year-old girl.
Yeah,
like that.
So, but would you say,
Carl, who did? So it's just like, what the fuck is going on?
So would you say then that around these horrific crimes, there's a way in which people want to demonize or arrest or whatever the victims rather than the perpetrators? Would you call that maybe a rape culture?
Yep.
I certainly would, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm glad to see you're a convert of sorts.
I
just think that can accurately be described as a rape culture, where it was.
So can the Catholic Church, what he was doing, or what they're doing, sorry, and Epstein, and his little system, and all the people who were involved with it, and knew about it and didn't say anything about it, or suspected something and didn't report it. All of that was also a rape culture. And Harvey Weinstein's corporate culture was a rape culture. They're everywhere, Carl. If you can see it in one place, you can apply the same structural power analysis to other social phenomenon and see where they map on. So you can't just do it to one group.
I mean, for example, there's a story that I was reading today, in fact, with this woman is now 30, but she was a teenage girl when this happened. And she had been groomed and raped and drugged and whatnot by one of these gangs. And so she went to a social worker, and the social worker unironically laughed in her face and said, "Oh, don't worry, we'll have to get you some condoms." And
I just want to point out how when Carl talks about people coming forward with Me Too, I remember him saying something along the lines of, if you come forward on Twitter to talk about what happened to you, I can't believe you because you're lying. Because if something really happened, you'd gone to the police. So his selective way of believing victims here, it was a social worker. Well, shouldn't she have gone to the police first by your standards, Carl? So again, he's very selective in terms of what conforms to his bias in what he will accept, as opposed to having a standard of don't start with the premise that victims are lying. Start with the premise that they are telling the truth, and then look into it. Who else did they tell? What other corroborating evidence can, dates, times, whatever. But don't start off believing that they're lying. If he can do that for this victim, he can do it for other victims too. Whether it's on Twitter, or after a police report, or as part of a lawsuit, he can apply that standard to them too.
And she was like, "No, I'm being abused. I don't want this." And the social worker just thought this was amusing and did nothing. And I want to know who that social worker is, and I want to see her lose her job.
Again, I don't believe that Carl has actually looked into this enough to find out what the consequences are, because I can't believe nothing has happened since all of this came out. I just can't. I'm more open to believing that all of this has been investigated and he just hasn't looked into it. I'm just going to be honest. When Carl's prove me wrong that you've done this analysis that these people aren't known about.
Like these people all need to lose their jobs, every single one of them.
I quite agree.
Yeah.
What I will say, and I don't want this to turn into IBS territory, but
no, of course
I think it's worth pointing out. Do you think, given your problematic, let's say, history with rape discourse, do you think you are the right person to be taking this topic forward?
Yes, of course.
Why?
Because everyone else is too cowardly.
Oh, God. Everyone else is too cowardly. Again, I don't even think he knows what has happened in terms of investigations in this. And if he thinks he has any credibility to be outraged about rape after the way that he's used it as a joke and to mock people and to double down on it, it's not that everyone else is too cowardly. It's that he needs the media and he's trying to win over more Islamophobes into his audience. He needs it. It's not about him being brave. It's about him being desperate for fans, alt-right fans in particular.
Okay, but the point is, if you weighed in, given your background, you could potentially harm any such movement.
Yes, again, Carl, Kevin's pointing out the Grim Reaper meme for you. That when you touch things, they die. And with your hypocrisy, no one would be able to see beyond your hypocrisy. Except your fans, of course, and the haters, the alt-right types. So why would you do it? Oh, to get credit, to get street cred within the alt-right.
There is no such movement. I'm going to make it.
I don't think for a second you are, but let's...
What, like the liberalists, Carl? You're going to make another movement? Like the liberalists? Or your revolutionary youth wing of UKIP? That movement? Is this going to be the third movement you started in 12 months? Really? How? You're such a fool.
Say that you do. Will that not be very easy to throw in your face?
I don't care.
Well, but if you care about the issue, Carl, if this is an issue that's bigger than you and your audience and your attention and your need for relevance, and your presence would actually be a distraction from the topic. How can you not care if what you care about is protecting kids? Can't you be bigger than that and realize your role is better not saying anything and letting people with credibility talk about that? And not just like racist like Tommy Robinson who's in jail. Right? Criminals. Like have an honest discussion about sex trafficking. How about that? And not make it about one community, but about all of the communities, including the Catholic Church, including other rings, everybody. But no, Carl, it has to be about you.
Doesn't change the fact that these people literally arrested, raped children and blamed them for the rapes.
Yeah, no, but Carl, I'm not arguing for a second.
You can take it on for me if you'd like.
My point is, if you, as someone from outside of the town, go to this place, especially being a soft southerner, and you turn up and the local media have said...
I like Kevin's soft southerner sort of reminder of Carl's outsider status there, you know, about coming into a place, you know, and trying to boss people around with your outside views. What does that say about your liberalist ideas? But yeah, I just wanted to mention that. Notice that Kevin did that well.
I don't know, rape enthusiast or whatever.
How could they possibly say that without me suing them, though? Again,
he's making it about himself.
Many people care about being sued, do they? But let's say, okay, let's just say they don't call you an enthusiast. Let's say, poor choice of words. Let's just say rape tweet guy. You've been described as that in the media. I've seen that.
But that's still false, and I'm going to do things about this. Just whenever you do anything, it takes a long time.
Yeah, you're already labeled, Carl. Doesn't matter if you try to fight it. That's how you are already known. That's your reputation, and it's based on things you actually did and said. A little bit hard to sue people for reporting accurately your horrific comments. Just because you don't have the common decency to find them offensive doesn't mean that when other people are offended by them, that they're not being accurate and that people's reactions are somehow invalid.
Well, okay. Well, we'll wait and see on that. But certainly it's been published in the past, so there's no...
But I don't care. I just don't care about their opinion.
Again, Carl, it's not
about
fair,
you.
It's not a matter whether you...
Thank you, Kevin.
On the ground, because the only way this is going to change is if the people in the city do something about it. The people in the city rise up.
I think the people in the city care a lot more about the raped children than they do about my tweets.
Again, he thinks he can read minds, and he's completely missing the point that he is the wrong messenger. He has no credibility as a messenger. He's just coming across as an Islamophobic, what's the word I'm looking for? Opportunist, who is going to try to counter his rape tweet image by using the sexual assault of children as a way to earn back his credibility or something. Yeah, Carl is a rape tweet guy. Is he going to sue me now? Yeah, sue my chat, Carl. Carl the rape tweet guy. Come at me. Oh, no, you can't because you're too afraid of me. You won't get into a room with me. But yeah, this is just him using this issue to try to get some sort of credibility and also be Islamophobic at the same time. And the fact that it is about him is empirically verified by the fact that no matter how many times Kevin tries to explain the problem with him being the messenger on this issue, Carl can't get it through his head because he doesn't care about the issue. Amazing.
No, but the point is, if you're going to be like the head of this movement, so to speak.
Yep.
As an outsider from the city, as someone from a very different part of the world, as someone who's more wealthy than a lot of the people affected by this, the media could definitely spin those tweets as, this guy is a fucking hypocrite. This guy doesn't care about rape victims. This guy doesn't care about rape. He's happy to joke about it.
Actually, I do care about actual rape victims, which is why I'd be doing it. But it doesn't...
Well, again, your actions don't show that. When you are asked all those times about those tweets, you've only shown aggression and anger. So, no one would believe that, Carl. You've never given anyone a reason to believe you actually care. It's always been about you.
It doesn't really matter. I mean, we've got 13
Well, you don't care about sexual assault victims, do you? Because Jess Phillips was a sexual assault victim.
I am a sexual assault victim.
Well, you've claimed that, Carl.
Yeah.
On that. Okay, that's fine. But you don't care. You didn't care that Jess Phillips was a sexual assault victim.
Because it's not the end of the world. You can get over it, and Jess Phillips clearly has.
You know, if you want to be the spokesperson for sexual assault victims, saying you can just get over it, Jess Phillips has, and now I can taunt her about rape, does not make you a credible messenger as someone who cares about sexual assault victims. Seriously, Carl? I mean, I know people criticize Kevin for having Carl on here, giving him another platform because he's so done now. But in a lot of ways, to me, he's really, lost it, even more so than before. He's being so openly racist, and now he's being so openly obvious about his use of an issue involving the sexual assault of children to advance his own personal sort of YouTube career agenda. And he doesn't care about victims at all. He wants to claim these things in order to get a legitimacy to beat up on Muslims, basically. That's it. And yeah, 250 mentions, how does he know where Jess Phillips is emotionally? Carl and Kevin, it's hard sometimes. Sorry, I mixed them up. But Carl thinks he can read minds. I point this out, when he does this, just completely logically fallacious, claiming what other people think. It just shows the paucity of his arguments because he has to make stuff up.
Has got over it. She's not a weak woman.
Well, so maybe okay, but then surely people can turn around and say, well, if you've got that blasé and attitude, why the fuck should we listen to you about these kids?
Because
they can get over it, can't they?
And you don't necessarily have to listen to me. I mean, UKIP have 13 councillors in Rotherham. There'll be the people who will also be taking part.
Have they still? Wow, so Rotherham's like the one place they've still got some councillors.
No, in almost every town where they've got grooming gangs, UKIP have got councillors. I wonder why.
It's not that many towns, because didn't you lose 80% of your seats or something?
No, it wasn't that much. But
yeah, it was. Yeah, it was, Carl.
It was.
Trust me, it was.
Seen the numbers. It
yeah,
was.
Me too. But
yeah, so admit the truth. Oh my god, he's such a liar. Then admit that it was over 80%. Honestly, Carl, you're just lying now.
There are 20 different towns, more than 20 different towns where this has occurred. This is something that needs to be addressed, and the problem is the institutional support for them. So all the optics.
Now, the election was in May, right? And we're now to the middle of July. Carl could have done this in the last 8 weeks. So why is he on Kevin's channel talking about it and not doing what he said he was going to do? Why? What? Talk. I mean, anyone can sit on YouTube and talk. I'm doing it right now. It's like the laziest thing you can do. You hit start streaming, you make sure people can hear you and see you, and then you just talk. But that doesn't, I mean, you can educate people this way, but it's really hard to change the world with a YouTube video. And certainly coming on Kevin's channel, where he's got a very international audience. So Carl, what are you spending your time on? I know you were getting drunk in a pub somewhere. Why weren't you doing this Rotherham event? Are you getting a permit lined up? Is that what's going on? He's so disingenuous. He's going to start a movement. Failed movement, dude. Hashtag Gamergate 3.0.
I don't care about. We're going to go down there and cause some trouble.
Great. We're going to go down there and cause some trouble. Clip that up, everybody. Minute 10, start at minute 1 hour, 10 minutes. And yeah, then you get a little bit of the background. Or about 1 hour 9. We're going to go in there and start some trouble. Please send that to the Rotherham Police Department. I'm sure they'll be very interested in that. You idiot. Carl. Causing trouble. You don't... you can bring attention to an issue without causing trouble. You're just so... You're so dumb.
The point that I'm trying to make
what's that?
This is a product of a culture that isn't something you could describe as English. Can we?
Right, Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, you think that grooming children is limited to Muslim men? No. This is a global phenomenon. You racist. You absolute racist. Who is running the Catholic Church in Europe? Who has been running the Catholic Church the whole time that these pedophile priests have been moved around from parish to parish, destroying the lives of children for decades, possibly centuries for all we know? And where is your outrage about that? You're not calling that a product of the Catholic Christian culture, are you? Racist? Islamophobe? No. You're a hypocrite, Carl. You don't care about the sexual abuse of kids. You care about a justification for your Islamophobia. Kevin's going to mention that as well. Well, thank you, of course, because Kevin and I are on the same card, or same playing on the same page. Words are hard today.
We agree on that.
Not necessarily, because clearly the English, quote unquote, that you see as English, have been doing child rape systemically as well.
Go on. Where are the
centuries?
Is that hang on a second. The Catholic Church was that in England that was taking place?
There are yes,
several places. Yeah, actually, within walking distance of where I now live, a guy called Father Hive was raping kids back in the 70s and 80s.
Really?
Yeah,
but it's not the same as what we would describe as a grooming gang, is it?
Carl, I thought you cared about victims of sexual assault. Oh, well, they were raped by white men. So, let's ignore the fact that wasn't just a sort of criminal conspiracy. That was actually an institutionally organized, protected situation where it was children up against the Catholic Church, the entire Catholic Church. You're just going to dismiss that. You are a misogynist. You are a defender here of pedophilia, and you're a racist, Carl. All on this show. And I'm really glad that Kevin had you on so we can see this about you. And also to get you on tape saying that you're going to go down to Rotherham and cause trouble. Nice one. You're really playing fourth dimensional chess there, Carl.
It's what does it matter? Does
it matter?
Does matter. It's one person raping 12 kids.
Yeah, it does matter.
Go on then, why?
Because one person raping 12 kids is an individual doing it.
No, it's not. This is it, Carl. You ignorant ass. Learn about rape culture. Oh, if I were on here right now, oh my god! Oh, can you imagine me reacting to Carl making that claim? Talking about a priest as one individual when I could pull out the grand jury report from Pennsylvania for 6 dioceses that showed the way that priests were moved all over the country after complaint after complaint after complaint, and they were treated as if they had an addiction like alcoholism. It wasn't appropriate to what their needs are, and the cops were left out of it, and victims were asked to sign non-disclosure agreements? Are you kidding me, Carl? One person? You ignorant ass! You ignorant racist ass! You misogynist! You are vile. You are a vile human being with terrible views. And I hope people watch this and watch this rant and realize, let me give voice to the revulsion that they experience when they hear you say these things. Because that's what I'm experiencing. That and just befuddlement at how you can get paid to talk about politics and make no effort to actually understand anything of what's going on.
Right. But 20 or 40 people raping thousands of kids is a community activity.
Yeah, what about a global conspiracy where they have secret archives at the Vatican knowing exactly what these priests were doing? What would you call that, Carl?
The Catholic Church's involvement in rape has been far more insidious than small
Kevin.
pockets of evil bastards in these places. They've got a worldwide, incredibly well-funded, incredibly well-litigated organisation.
Thank you, Kevin.
Purposefully trying to cover up crimes.
Yes.
So do these grooming gangs.
No,
Salford or any other such place.
Just acknowledge the Catholic. Stop talking about the grooming gangs and acknowledge the level of conspiracy involved with a white European religious institution. Just acknowledge that without comparing it to anyone else. Right? I can condemn all kinds of, any kind of pedophile ring, any kind of sexual abuse of children, whether organized or done by one person. All right? It's all repellent to me. I don't have to compare it to different groups in order to dismiss it. Carl does.
Yeah, but so do the Muslim grooming gangs. It's called the Labour Party.
Well, that's not remotely true, is it?
God, he's such a liar. You're such a liar, Carl. You know you're lying. You absolutely know you're lying. You can't compare the Catholic Church to the Labour Party. You are just disingenuous, and you're an idiot.
Absolutely true. The Labour Party covered this up. Yes, they did.
The Conservative Party have covered up.
I'm not saying they haven't. The Conservative Party is just as evil, but the Labour Party did cover this up.
The Labour Party, certain members of the Labour Party in places like Rotherham have done.
The Catholic Church didn't just cover it up, Carl. They moved priests around that then victimized other children, and then they moved them around again. And all the victims were silenced or bought off, and they used their connections, their Catholic reputation with local police departments. They self-reported, but they minimized what happened. They used language like horseplay and wrestling to basically obscure abuse. So no, nothing alike, Carl. Nothing alike.
Done fucking atrocious things, and those people deserve to go to jail too.
Yes.
But the idea that the Labour Party institutionally, like on a national level, wants this to happen is ridiculous.
That's absolutely wrong. It was ordered from Gordon Brown's Home Office to treat the victims of this as if they were prostitutes.
That's not even comparing what the Catholic Church did. You are just redefining the things in order to make basically special pleading here, Carl. Another logical fallacy, because you don't think rigorously and you don't understand argumentation.
Brown never ran the Home Office.
No, I didn't say he ran it. Gordon Brown's Home Office. The Home Office during the tenure of Gordon Brown.
I'm sorry, okay. I thought you meant he was Home Secretary.
I don't believe that assertion, by the way. It sounds like Islamophobic crap to me.
I can't remember the name of the chap, but he was an ex-prosecutor or something. And a circular went around saying, look, you can treat these like these girls are prostitutes and they're making a life choice. And it's like, no. that's
well, I'll have to check out the specific because that's the first I've ever heard of.
It's ridiculous.
Himself involved in that.
Yeah.
And if that's true,
Tufidi, Carl is implying this is widespread in the British Muslim community. How common actually was it? I think it's a very rare crime like it is. I mean, again, I think if you look at crime statistics, you get sex rings like this across all groups, all countries. This is a plague on humanity. This isn't a product of Islamic ideology. And again, we've got it right here in the U.S. with Epstein. That was decades of a rich guy. He actually got away with it. You know, he basically had communities. We had like working from his office sort of arrest, where he got to go into his office 12 hours a day instead of spending time in prison. So Carl doesn't show that amount of criticism of institutional dismissal of sexual abuse as a rape culture. He wants to do this special pleading where Muslims are always the worst because he's a racist. So I don't say that I don't know. I've never seen any kind of stats that said it was like exclusive to. It gets obviously a lot of attention now, but I don't know. Perceptions of crime and rates of crime are very different. The people, if you look at people's perceptions of crime and you then compare it to the actual crime rate where they live, people always think there's more crime than there is. So we also know that that's a social phenomenon. Okay, getting back to it. Yeah, people can get over it. Carl's disgusting. Carl's disgusting to tell people to get over it. He's just gross.
I don't think it was Brown himself. It was just under his tenure the Home Office did this.
Okay, well, okay, but it's slightly unfair to mention him then if he didn't do it. But okay.
Well, he was just the Prime Minister at the time, but it was a Labour-controlled government.
And that's ultimately, okay, right.
Yeah. But the thing is, culturally, I don't think the English do create these kind of rape gangs.
Cultural superiority here, right? White cultural superiority. Not true. Not true, but of course he's going to make that assumption because he's a racist.
I'm not saying that the English
don't necessarily create rape gangs, but again, you seem to be fixating on this rather small percentage of the overall child rape problem.
Yep.
And it is a tiny percentage.
The thing is, this is a communal activity. That's the problem.
Right.
So is Epstein.
That's the real
so
issue.
Your problem isn't the child rape, it's them getting together and having a beer as well.
And the Catholic Church is a far greater institutional in terms of organizing the sexual abuse of children. And he's dismissing the Catholic Church.
Obviously, the reason I care about this is the child rape. But, for example...
No, it's not,
one
Carl.
tiny aspect of a much larger problem.
I don't know how big it is. That's the problem.
Of course, you would never look into these statistics, Carl, because you have a racist worldview, and you just go off of that instead of, I don't know, accurate facts, crime statistics from the Home Office, anything. No.
Nobody does. Like Sarah. Well, hang on.
Of course, because they're committing crimes, and therefore it's difficult to tell exactly how much is going on. But from what we can tell, it's a very small percentage of the overall child rape problem.
I don't know if that's true. I mean, Sarah Champion estimates over 1 million young girls.
But you're not talking about the percentage of overall victims of sexual abuse who are children. That's Kevin's point. Carl can't grasp that. His brain, the sieve, just like good points just flow right through.
That's staggering, man.
If that's true, that's mind blowing. But I can't say.
She's the Labour MP for Rotherham, and she thinks.
Yes, I know who she is. Yeah.
So it's.
I don't believe any of this again without seeing any links.
I think that there's a
Carl's
systemic
not to be trusted.
Yeah, look,
I'm sure there are stats out there.
I think
just don't believe them.
With rape across the board, feminists have been calling it for a long time. The way in which these kids have been dealt with is not too dissimilar to the way women have been dealt with for decades. In fact, hundreds of years.
I don't agree.
Of course you don't.
The point is
because you want to carve out a special exemption for believing certain types of victims who conform to your racist worldview. And when it's white guys, then they're all just lying hoes, right? Unless you call the police and don't talk about it except to the police, you can't warn people about what happened to you. No. Not if it's a white guy, right, Carl?
The difference is most rapes are individual acts, right? It's not a group of people who conspire to do it and then do it for decades, right? You've got the Jimmy Saviles and the BBC, obviously, where that is a problem. And if I had any knowledge about that, I would do something about it. Or at least go and cause some trouble. But this is very clearly a community problem. And it's coming out of a specific kind of community.
No, it's a criminal conspiracy amongst criminals. It's not a community problem. Again, this is his racism. He's being so racist. He's conflating a criminal organization or a criminal conspiracy with an entire community. And if we did that to white people, imagine if Carl held white people to these standards. And look at the conspiracies Donald Trump has engaged in order to cover things up and the crimes he's committed. Does that mean there's a huge problem in the white community in America? Well, I would say in the racist part of the white community, there's a lot of problems, yeah. But I wouldn't say that's a problem of the entire white community in the way that Carl wants to generalize this to all Muslims. It's not only a logical fallacy, it's blatantly racist. Blatantly racist.
And has done so reliably and done so for decades.
Yeah, the Catholic Church, yeah.
Well, that's a separate community problem.
Yeah, it is.
But that's a white European problem, Carl. And you're not acknowledging that that's actually a more sophisticated and longer term and more financially backed conspiracy. But you're not generalizing that to white culture, are you? You're not generalizing that to all Catholics all over Europe, are you? Of course not, because you're a racist.
No, because make a big noise about that element of it.
Well, everyone else is making a big noise about it.
Oh, really?
You are.
I am, yeah, because I care about all rape victims. I don't care that...
Except for the ones that I'm trying to talk about. You seem to be wanting to change the subject.
No, Carly's trying to get you to expand the notion, the category of people you actually believe when they say these things happen to them and care about getting justice for, as opposed to one driven by racism.
What?
You're equivocating. Let's talk about the cat. Well, no. Okay, look, I agree that there are lots of rapists around the world, but I want to talk about these ones in particular because it seems to me that these ones are not being dealt with.
Do you want to talk about these ones and none of the other ones?
Because it speaks to the community problem and cultural difference.
What about the Catholic Church? Can't that same logic be applied to that's about far more people are Catholic in Europe than Muslim, right? The Catholic Church has been doing this far longer But you just want to focus in on this one little community and make a generalization that you own to the Catholic Church?
Of
Racist,
the English community that
racist.
the Muslim
Carl,
community finds
you're
itself
a
in.
racist.
And I don't even think it's fair to call it the Muslim community.
Yeah.
I think more likely we could.
The Catholics, actually, that would be better, wouldn't it?
I'm sorry.
Maybe we should go back to burning Catholics. That's the solution to the problem.
I don't think we should burn anyone.
He's joking, obviously.
The point being, is
Guy
that
Fawkes.
For
I thought you were
criticism
English.
you make of the Muslim community, whatever that means, you can make of the Catholic Church.
Thank you, Kevin.
The BBC during the Jimmy Savile investigation, or various governments over decades.
Sure, I agree. And if you want to talk about those things, I can go away, do some research on them, and come back with some information.
Do you not know anything? Carl, really? Do you not know anything about the ongoing, like, decades-long expose of children being abused by the Catholic Church? Starting with, what was it, in Philadelphia? Have you not seen Spotlight? Have you just been, like, living in your anti-feminist bubble while actually, like, real child abuse on a global scale has been uncovered? The ignorance is so deep. Like, it's hard for me to process how little he knows about the world.
I went and done research on this one, and I've got lots of information, and it looks kind of bad. It looks like...
It looks awful, yes.
Yeah, I mean, like, really fucking bad, right? I've spoken...
If I were in this conversation, we could watch my video about the Catholic Church's rape culture right now. Carl, if you weren't afraid to talk to me, I could have been there to explain exactly what the Catholic Church did using evidence from a grand jury report. That involved, 70 priests? Or 300 priests over 7 decades? Something like that. But you're afraid to face me. You can't handle this feminist, Carl. You can't handle talking to me. Because I know more than you. And I call you on your BS. I mean, Kevin obviously knows more than you. But on this topic, I would have taken you to school. It would be time for you to sit down, close your mouth, and know your role. And that would be listen, because you need to learn, and I have the information. Sit down, shut up, listen. But you're afraid of being schooled by a woman. So you won't.
I've spoken to loads of people from these areas who have escaped these areas because, in their opinion, the Muslim community is, or specifically actually the Pakistani community.
Oh, right, okay.
Is racist.
So now he's got a nation and a religious group. Oh, so he's narrowing down his racism to an entire, just one section of the community, and generalizing. Great, because that's not racist. Oh wait, yeah. Actually, it's completely and totally racist. Because he's not... If I did that to the Catholic Church and said all white guys are basically part of this conspiracy, the white male community within Catholicism across Europe were as bad as the Catholic Church when it comes to the sexual abuse of children, I would be criticized. But Carl can get away with it, at least in his little world, because he's surrounded by racists.
Towards the English.
Okay. You say the Pakistani community, again, that will include people who are English, wouldn't it?
Well, I don't know how they identify.
Well, does it matter how one identifies? If you were born here, you're from England, aren't you?
Yep.
I don't think that's true.
Wait. Didn't he say if you were born into a culture, you couldn't do anything about it? The last show, you guys remember this? That when you're born into a culture, it becomes like just part of who you are. It's like a fish being in water, and you can't sort of separate out what is from you and what is around you, and it just happens. So anyone born into an English culture would be English by his idea of what culture is. So if it applies for Nigeria, or whatever his African example was last time, why wouldn't it apply to anybody born in England? Let's hear this.
What?
I think that
matter then.
No, I think that the culture that you're raised in is what affects your cultural.
Wait! Is it the culture you're raised in, or is it the culture like around you, Carl? You don't know anything about anything, do you? You just don't know shit about shit. You just make stuff up as you go. You're such a fraud. You are such an intellectual fraud, Carl.
The sort of cultural identity that you hold. And I don't think that many of the people in the sort of Muslim Pakistani community hold the identity of English.
I don't think. So again, you think you know what people are thinking based on your ignorance, lack of ever actual having contact with, 150,000 of these people, maybe just to get a wider sample. And it comes from your ignorant racism. I'm sighing a lot because it's work. It's work plowing through this racist BS. But I think it's important too. And you guys in the chat seem to be enjoying it. So I'll keep doing it. All right, here we go.
Well, yeah, but the point I'm making is not whether they identify as English. It's the fact that they are English. They were born in England.
Well, that's the question, isn't it? What makes an English person? And I think that...
Right. So now we come down to thought policing again. Right? It's like Lindsey Graham saying, oh, if they just agree with Donald Trump, they wouldn't get attacked. If you have the right white supremacist ideology, then you can be counted as okay. So it's not about freedom of speech with Carl. It's about conformity.
That being born in England is not something that automatically makes you English.
Legally, yes. Pretty sure. I mean, I don't know. Let's take the American case. If you're born on American soil, you're American. That's it. That's it. So again, Carl is having these criteria that aren't based on a sort of fair application of a legal standard. He wants a thought policing to be the test. He wants to control who is counted as English in ways that conform with his worldview to protect it, not treating other citizens as equals and having a debate and trying to win it with them. He's such a racist. He's such a white supremacist.
So you're not a civic nationalist then?
Yeah, exactly.
No, I'm a civic nationalist, as in if we are going to have any expression of nationalism, it has to be done along the sort of liberal civic lines that we've always had it. But that's not what I'm...
Civic means laws, not culture. My understanding of the word civics. Let's look that up. Relating... I don't think that's the word. We want it as an adjective. Of or relating to a citizen, a city, a citizenship, or community affair, civic duty, civic leaders. So yes, if we talk about civic, we're relating it to citizenship, not ideology, not values. People have had all kinds of attitudes and values. You used to have the pagan people worshipping on English soil. And then you had the Roman Catholic Church. And then you had Protestantism in its many forms. And then you guys actually, Britain kicked out all the Jews for centuries, but there were Jewish people with their views. So the idea of tying your citizenship to an ideology makes no sense because they continually evolve. Again, Carl doesn't know what words mean. He doesn't. He really doesn't know what words mean.
So being born within a geographic location makes you of that geographic location.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about the legal criteria.
But that is what civic nationalism would entail. It's nationalism based on a citizenship or a notion of the civic definition of things.
I'm talking about the cultural criteria.
There are no cultural criteria. You didn't pass a test, a thought conformity test, and attain your citizenship at any point in your life, did you, Carl? You didn't. Nor did Kevin. You know why? Because nobody does that. Because that's not how citizenship is established. You are talking about whites, as point out, people mentioned this to me in the chat before, that he basically comes out and says, well, I'm a civic nationalist, but I actually mean culture. So you're a white nationalist, Carl, as we've demonstrated again and again. You are a white nationalist. You want to talk about sort of like native English, native Welsh, native Scot, which of course they came from parts of France and like Vikings, so they're not even native. You mean white. And anybody who isn't white but who's willing to perpetuate white supremacy. My.
I think that culturally,
you're talking feels over reals. Okay.
Well, a social construct's not real.
Oh, see, this is it. You're using a phrase and you don't know what words mean, Carl. You don't. This is why you won't face me, isn't it? That's why you're afraid of me, Carl. Don't be afraid. You'll learn something. We'll Google it together. You'll end up smarter. If that's possible, if you're willing to. I know, like, your brain is capable of changing and taking in new information. It's your will that gets in the way.
Now, they are real, but the point being is that they don't override basic fact that these people were born in a place named England.
I don't know if that's true, man.
Wow, you're just going to question everything without any evidence when the hypothetical is someone who is a citizen is because they are a citizen because they're born on English soil. And he wants to just, I don't know. And anything that's going to call him out on his crap, he just like doubts it, as if doubting it somehow makes it not a critique. It just shows his ignorance.
Like, I don't know. It's one of those things where I think social constructs are real. Things are a social construct. I agree. The radical left has identified something, true there. And I think
it's not the radical left. You numpty. It's an epistemological position that transcends politics. The notion of social constructs isn't limited to the left. It's used by academics all the time to study the social in qualitative research, in sociology and anthropology and psychology and political science and economics too, I bet. And in health science and medical science and everything where you need human beings to give you feedback. You have to understand the idea of how people perceive reality and their notions, how the things, sort of like are defined in their head and how they react to it. So you're just, Carl, you don't know about philosophy. You don't know about political theory. You don't know American history. You don't even know, like, British history when it comes to the sexual abuse of children in your own country. Oh, God, how are you making any money? Anyone who gives money to you is just really wasting their time and the work that they do to earn the money to waste it on you.
The people that we're talking about don't see themselves socially as
the people that we're talking about don't see themselves. What survey data? Are you going, oh no, you're just making it up because you're a racist, Carl?
Hang on, Carl. Do you think the radical left invented the concept of a social construct?
Thank you, Kevin.
No, obviously not.
Ah.
So what have we?
Yeah, what are you talking about then?
Well, you talk about it an awful lot.
Radical left,
I think the radical left have kind of popularized the notion.
No.
Well, they might have popularized it. So.
No, you heard it first from them, Carl. That's what you mean. That's where you hear it from. And so you think that they popularized it because it just...
But, okay, whatever. Never mind, it's a nitpick. Go on.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. But
it just shows your ignorance.
It seems that... I mean, I've spoken to a lot of people who don't strike me as BNP voters, who think that the Pakistani community is generally quite racist towards them.
Wow, Carl hangs around with people who aren't necessarily BNP voters, which code that as white. I've hung out with white people who feel that the other people who are being racist towards me. Yeah. This is a real credible anecdote. No.
That's been their expression. There was a chap in the civil service that I spoke to from Peterborough. He was youngish lad, sort of like,
Yeah, I bet this is one of the people at his talks, the sort of UKIP voters that come out to complain about brown people. I'm going to guess that's where he talked to this young man from Peterborough. The guy who traveled to one of his events, one of the 20 people there to throw up the OK symbol in a picture.
Mid-20s. Brilliant at school from a working class background, and so basically the school was begging him to go to university so it'd look good on their numbers, and so he ended up going to the civil service.
What school begs kids to go to university for their numbers? This all sounds like crap to me. I'm sorry. Like, if anyone else has had their school in the UK beg them to go to university and incur possibly £27,000 of debt just so their high school equivalent would have good university numbers, get in touch. Otherwise, I'm calling bull on that one.
But He came from the area that had a lot of Muslim immigration, and in his opinion, the Muslims were trying to drive the English out.
So I met a racist guy in Peterborough who happened to be a civil servant. That's the story. That was really the story, wasn't it? I was talking at one of my, fringe UKIP events, and I met a racist from Peterborough who told me racist things. He gave me his racist opinions. Wow. We're devastated with this factual presentation of information, Carl. This is totally credible. I'm sure that this is an entirely accurate representation of the data if we were to look at it and have a couple different people independently review it and draw conclusions. He just expects to be believed because he's a white man.
Well, again, the fact that you just make that distinction between Muslim and English, I think is incredibly problematic, because I think you can be Muslim and English.
Yep.
I didn't say you couldn't. Would you like
that? No, but that wasn't the critique, was it, Carl? He was saying you're creating a juxtaposition between the two categories as if they are different, instead of recognizing people are all the time, simultaneously, English or British or European and Muslim. Carl's so disingenuous.
Would you like me to use Pakistani instead?
But I think you can be of Pakistani descent and English as well. So
I agree.
Okay, so but what's the point you're making then? Only people born.
I don't think just because something can be something means it's necessarily so.
Well, yeah, but I think it's important to make a distinction. Otherwise, you're lumping all people in together, which is generalizing.
Yep.
I think that's just generally a kind of lazy way of getting out of what I'm saying.
No, Carl, what's lazy is you trying to generalize from a criminal conspiracy to an entire community. That's racist and lazy. Kevin's right. Of course, Kevin's right.
I think that a lot of the people who are...
It isn't, Carl, because what you're doing is saying the Muslims versus the English, whereas there are lots of different types of Muslim and lots of different types of English.
I agree.
On both sides, and I try and make that distinction because I think it's important not to lump all of one group in.
Well, I agree. That's why I said the Pakistani community, because it specifically seems to be a Pakistani community problem.
Yep.
Okay, but again, there will be people of Pakistani heritage who were born here who are English and may identify as English and don't go around driving any motherfucker out of anywhere.
Yeah, which
or
is
doing
why I
any
address
crimes.
Martin Nawaz as an Englishman, because I think he is an Englishman. But I think that a lot of these people who...
Oh, all right. So again, it's about thought crimes. People who think like him are allowed to be considered English by his standard. Not because of the criteria legally, their legal status, but whether or not they have thoughts that Carl agrees with. He's thought police.
Who have moved to places like Peterborough aren't Englishmen and don't want to be Englishmen, and in fact don't like Englishmen.
The amount of mind reading, racist mind reading that goes on in Carl's head is astounding. Absolutely astounding how much racist invention he puts upon other people. All this kind of projection as to what they're thinking, because he, again, sees them as not wanting to be, he doesn't want to be part of their culture. He just projects that back. Sargon's law. Carl will basically reveal whatever he's criticizing of another person is something that actually refers to him.
Okay. Well, that's, I mean, those people I don't particularly like.
Yeah.
For what
that seems to be a large...
You can do anything about it, particularly.
Well, that seems to be a large number of them.
No, again, this is where he's going. Yes. Again, he's just making up racist comments. There's a large number. What does that mean, large number? Compared with what other groups? Over what time period? As a total of overall crime? Nothing. He doesn't have those facts. He just has his racism.
When you say large number, do you mean what, 51%?
The majority?
Oh, like 75%, that sort of number. A large percentage of them seem to really not like the English.
What's that based on?
Nothing.
Personal first-hand accounts from people.
Yeah, nothing. Your biased anecdotal racism from racist people
who've moved away from these areas.
So anecdotes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like
well, I just want people to know that you've made a statistical
generalization
claim-ish, a rough statistical claim based on
I haven't got any idea
anecdotes from people who obviously have a bias in the matter.
Yeah.
Well, yes, of course they have a bias.
If they've moved away because they felt a certain way, they obviously have a.
But the thing is, mate, it's like
lots of people who stayed there because they didn't feel that way.
Yep.
And might skew you slightly.
No, because this guy was the last English family in the street, for example.
Right. So by English he means white? Is that what you mean by English, Carl?
In the little area that he lived in, they were the last English family, and they were resisting being driven out.
Yeah. Do you mean white, Carl? You racist? Is English code for white? Just be honest about it. You're not a civic nationalist.
Well, again, right.
Bricks through the windows, mate.
The fact that you're
fuck off, you English bastards, mate. That's the sort of thing they were getting.
Okay,
like,
yeah,
that's fucking unreal, right?
Racist bastards, and that's awful.
Yeah.
That family went through that. But the
no,
point
no,
being,
it's not just that family; it's every other family on the street who ended.
And again, is he as concerned about the harassment that non-white people face who are legitimately there in the UK? And why didn't he tell these people to just go to the police like he talks about with rape victims or sexual assault victims or sexual harassment victims? Oh, right. Because he'll believe a first-hand account from a racist and just repeat that and probably get it wrong and make it sound worse than it was even told to him. Because he's not interested in facts.
Ended up fleeing.
The fact that you say the last English family on the street, presumably lots and lots of those families were born there as well, so they're English families on that street, aren't they?
Who? Sorry.
The other families on the street?
On this street, wherever the fuck it was that this family were driven from.
In Peterborough. Yeah.
Peterborough, okay.
Yeah.
Oh God, Peterborough's a shithole either way.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I know.
No offense to anyone from Peterborough.
I don't think they did.
Anyway, the point, yeah, exactly. If only it was in the southwest. No. What was I going to say? Yeah, sorry. A lot of the families on that street will have been born there, so they are English families.
No, they were migrants. They were migrating.
Oh wow! He knew every person in a house on a street was a migrant. I don't know the migration status of everybody in my apartment block, let alone on my street. Are you just assuming that because they're not white, they're refugees and they're moving in? Again, this all just sounds like a bunch of racist BS.
All of them were migrants.
Yes, because of the open borders policy that Tony Blair put.
We didn't have an open borders policy. What are you talking about?
We still have an open borders policy.
No, we don't have an open
yes,
borders
we do.
Racist.
You know, they reckon they're
you racist alt-right tool. You racist alt-right tool. You're just helping the alt-right present the left. Anything as then completely shut borders is open borders. You're doing the work of white supremacists. But you know that, Carl, don't you? You know that? Of course you do. Because you know what's on your bread is buttered. It's buttered with that Nazi money. Ooh, gotta love those white supremacist dollars. They're the only ones you have left, or at least you're trying to pander to them now.
A million people a year coming into the country.
Why did the jungle exist?
How many people are leaving the country every year, Carl? Do you know that number?
Because we don't accept refugees.
And get here and just live here.
No, that's because we don't accept refugees, but we do accept immigrants. We don't accept refugees, though. It's a weird peculiarity, isn't it?
But the point being, Carl, why would there be people trying to illegally get to Britain if we had an open border?
I don't know. They're kind of silly. They should just.
No, Carl, you're silly. No, Carl, you are the one being ridiculous. We have open borders, and people are, trying to come here illegally. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you for catching him on this BS.
Just apply; they'll be let right in.
Will they?
Yeah.
Well, so it's just silliness rather than the fact that we turn people away. And we've literally asked the French government to take these people away.
Yeah, but that's because they're refugees. They should have just applied. I mean, we have a net of 300,000 a year. We have we have an aggregate.
But it's not an open border. That's just fundamentally untrue.
I disagree. I think that's pretty open.
Well, it's not about your opinion, Carl. Reality isn't what your opinion is. You have to actually look at policies. Oh, you live up your head with your head up your ass. You really don't know anything about anything.
It's just we accept mass immigration, right? But the thing with the Peterborough thing.
Okay, so what's your limit on what you would consider mass immigration, and what number would be mass or not mass?
I would say 100,000 a year or greater. Then I think you can categorize it as mass.
I don't even know how many. I'm sure that between all the universities in Scotland, England, and Wales, there are more than 100,000 student visas spread out all across the country every year. So at this point, what Carl is saying is he wants to shut down international students being accepted into any British university, which is where they get a lot of their money. So there you go. He's going to destroy the British education system with his limits on immigrants.
Okay, so let's say 99,000 wouldn't be mass.
Okay, well now you just
because bizarrely, Carl, I'm going to say 99,000. I would still say is mass.
Well, okay, let's go lower. Let's go 50,000. That actually seems like a reasonable number to me. 50,000.
Yeah, I don't mind that particularly. Yeah. I mean, I have to say, it sounds scary, 300,000, but if you actually invest in the infrastructure properly, I think
300,000 out of what, 66 million? And you guys aren't counting all of the British immigrants, overseas into Spain and other parts of Europe who are leaving. Also specialists in terms of recruiting and people for employment or anything. I mean, Britain would collapse with 300,000 visas issued per year. It would just collapse as an economy. The university system would collapse. So let's see. Oh yeah, thanks Dataport Doll here. A quick Google search. As of 2017-18, according to official international enrollment statistics, 458,520 international students were attending university in the UK. So there you go. Even if you gave every single one of those permits to international students, it would still devastate and probably financially ruin almost every single university in Britain. So there you go. But you know what? I actually don't think Carl would mind that, to be honest. I think that would be part of a sort of a knock-on effect that Carl would be very happy with, because he's anti-intellectual. He's threatened by people who take the time to learn things and speak cautiously.
I think we could fucking take that. Not forever, because obviously exponential growth can't continue forever.
Yeah.
And people die. People die.
What do you mean, why should we?
Why should we have 300,000 net in?
Well, there's no reason about should, is there? It's right, if the people wanted it bad enough, it could be done.
But it's going to cost us money, isn't it?
What's going to cost us money?
What's going to cost money?
300,000 people in a year.
What are you talking about? University students actually pay tuition? They then buy food? They get sometimes part-time jobs, but they pay more into taxes and tuition than they get out. University international students are an economic plus because they're young and they're healthy. They don't tend to be a burden on the NHS. They just pay taxes and they put their money into the university economy. You're a moron, Carl. You're a moron.
Not necessarily.
Absolutely necessarily. Of course, it could not, right? It's going to cost.
Had far more than that at one point, and they became the richest nation the world has ever known. So clearly,
America's not England.
No, America's not England. But the point is, if immigration makes you poor, and therefore what immigration would make you rich, why is Bangladesh very, very poor and Britain and America very, very rich?
Well, why have wages been going up since the Brexit?
See, he just answers with another question. He can't be intellectually honest because he doesn't know anything, or he doesn't want to admit he's wrong. So he just answers a question with another question. I feel like we should do a drinking game for those who drink, and just like a point, make a note whenever Carl answers a question with a question for the teetotaler around us. But
it's a referendum.
Why have wages been going up? Well, because the economy is doing slightly better than it was before.
Yeah, but the economy doing better is a kind of muddled phrase that doesn't really mean all that much. It's the distribution of the money in the economy that matters. For example, mass immigration is a form of class warfare, right? You bring in lots of poor people, they compete with other poor people, but they compete for the benefit of the business-owning class.
So this is the same racist tactic that Republicans use with African Americans to try to divide communities of color against each other. This is a classic racist argument. And it basically, the American version goes, hey, African American man, let's say, you've got really high unemployment in your community, and look at all these Hispanic people who are coming in and taking jobs that could be yours. You should really vote for a Republican to crack down on immigration, so that will mean more jobs will be available for people in your community. I mean, it's just a racist way of trying to divide and conquer using economics. And that's precisely what Carl is bringing up here. It's racist capitalism, basically.
Agreed?
I don't know. I'm not going to say it's a class warfare. I think that's a really odd appropriation of left.
Really, you leftist. I'm starting to get...
Yeah, exactly, Carl. Suddenly you want to talk about class warfare when you critique Marx and you call Marxists, like communist socialists, the worst people in the world, and now you want to appropriate terms when it's convenient for your racism? Yeah, Kevin, call him. Drag him for that. Drag him for that shit.
Okay, by the way, I think this is class warfare. Like, well, I mean, that's a bit
strong. No,
come on.
No, I would argue what Donald Trump is doing in America is class warfare, and what the Tories have done here is class warfare. But I don't think
they're undoubtedly guilty as well.
Class warfare.
I think they are both undoubtedly guilty of class warfare as well. I can concede that. But I think that the sort of neoliberal mass immigration model is also a form of class warfare. And I don't...
Why are you spouting Marxist terminology and ideology here, Carl? Are you a postmodernist Marxist theorist now? You're using class struggle? Come on. Come on.
I don't think that Tony Blair really understood this. There have been many statements.
Well, whatever Carl thinks Tony Blair understood, I don't... Again, his self-delusion of thinking that he knows what people are thinking, especially when he tries to project what a person who's so much smarter than him is thinking. You can disagree with Tony Blair. He was so much more well-read, thoughtful, intelligent, and engaged in the world and things going on than Carl has ever been.
Statements that Tony Blair made
Carl
since,
is a closeted cultural Marxist.
He left office that have kind of indicated that he kind of regrets what he did. I mean, so I didn't realize so many people would come, and another one was there are millions of Muslims who are fundamentally incompatible with the modern world.
Oh, great! This sounds like is that like a quote from Abe Lincoln that you saw circulated on Twitter, Carl?
And I think he's realized that there is something here.
Well, I mean, I would ask him to be a little bit more apologetic about the
lots of reasons, yeah,
million or more Iraqis that are dead, the 4.5 million that are displaced.
Yeah.
I think that should be higher on his priority list than
don't believe Carl, Kevin. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
You could unironically lay a lot of the grooming gang victims at his feet.
I don't know. I suppose.
Of course, Carl wants to make everything about labor because he doesn't want to actually talk about the sexual abuse of children. He wants to use it as a cudgel against the left. Again, this is what he cares about. He cares about the political point scoring because he keeps bringing it back to labor. He's such a disgusting human being.
I suppose in a general sense you can. I mean, he was the prime minister at the time during some of it, and so he has to take some of the blame, of course.
He did preside over a massive increase in immigration too. But,
the point being, again, Carl, in those individual instances, you can say, yeah, okay, they come from immigrant communities. But if child rape was already a part of the culture, which it clearly fucking was for decades, long before Tony Blair was even alive, let alone Prime Minister, then clearly this isn't something we've imported because it was already fucking here.
Yeah, but the way it happens is something that's unique.
Again, Carl, this is about your Islamophobia, not about the fact that you care about kids. It really isn't. And I'm just so tired of him using sexual abuse victims as a cudgel for his Islamophobia.
Really true,
He's such a dirtbag.
Even so, the fact that these immigrant communities or whatever, or the Pakistani Muslim community, however you want to define them, have brought a slightly different way of doing child rape.
Yeah. What about the Catholic Church?
There was always
other people?
child rape.
Yes.
But this is more efficient. Of all things.
More efficient.
No, seriously, it is. And the numbers seem to be far greater.
Again, you have no numbers, do you, Carl? Yeah, he wants to do, it's special pleading. Oh, this is especially scary. Even though he doesn't have any facts, he can't actually point to any rates. He's like, oh, I think it's higher. Ooh, my racism tells me that this is worse than other kinds of abuse. Remember, he was telling Just Phillips, he was going to claim his victimhood status to tell other victims to just get over it. So I'm sorry, Carl, are you telling people, the victims here, to just get over it? Or do you care about them? Because you're going to go to Rotherham to just tell them to get over it. Wouldn't that would just be something else you said, right?
And it seems to have been done with the permissiveness of the establishment.
Carl, just statistically, that's not true. The numbers aren't.
How many child rapes are there a year?
Oh, God.
Pardon?
How many child rapes?
this again, his using a question instead of he thinks it's over 1 million without evidence. Yeah, exactly. You should know these things, Carl, if you're going to claim to speak for them. Present evidence. Don't ask Kevin questions. Just present it. He wants to pull these power moves like he knows something when he doesn't.
So there, yeah.
I don't know off the top of my head, but I've seen the statistics about the fact that the grooming gang scandal, or the grooming gangs as such, make up a very small percentage of the overall number of child rape.
Yeah, but I think this has been played down a lot, man.
Well, so you don't have the numbers either, Carl? You're asking Kevin for numbers you don't even have, you idiot? You're talking about this like an expert when you're also just basing it off of what comes out of your butt? Carl, you're an idiot. Honestly, all this has shown, this whole show has shown that you don't know what you're talking about. You don't have any command of the facts. You don't even know like where the crime statistic data is coming from. You have no dates to go through. You have not the most recent information. And all that's driving you is your racism. Racist. Your racist attitudes are behind all of this, not a single fact. Oh, I'll get you the link later. Oh, this guy in Peterborough told me this. I think the people think this. You are a waste of space. You are such a waste of space.
It probably has been played down, but even so, let's say it's double what is claimed. That's still a tiny or a small percentage.
No, I think it's going to be
on that very small percentage.
I think it's going to be about 10 times what's claimed.
I think just 10 times. Oh, you're just make stuff up. Carl, this is why you won't face me. You're like, oh, I don't think Christy's interested in having this conversation. Yeah, the conversation where you say shit like this and we don't look it up on Google? Yeah, we're not having that kind of conversation. I'm going to call you on your crap. I'm going to Google you. I'm going to fact check every other thing you say. Because one, you don't have this information. You're going by anecdotes and you seem driven by complete racist attitudes. It's serious. Like, no wonder you're afraid of me. You should be afraid of me, Carl, in terms of fact checking you. Because I would totally be on breathing down your neck right now if I was in this hangout. Hey guys, so we've been going for 125. And I don't mind to continue going, but I do need a break. And I'm pretty tired this week, so I want a longer break. I'm really sorry. I'll try to remember, if you guys remember, we'll watch it in the comments after to like put the timestamps in this. I'm going to do a 10-minute break, I think. Hopefully not 15, but I just need to like stretch and get some fresh air. So yeah, coffee, yeah, that's definitely, although it's getting closer to the afternoon, so I might just keep on my hydration. All right, well then I'm going to put back the pre-show thingy on. Yeah, break time, you guys go make some lunch or whatever. Can we just call it 15 minutes? Let's just call it 15 minutes because I don't want to rush back. Holding feet to the fire, Christy. Yeah. Yeah, body him with facts. Oh, I will totally body him. I will body Carl with facts. All right, so it's 13:23 by my reckoning. Let's just, what is that? If it was 25, then it would be 30:40. I'm going to give myself a little extra time. We'll come back at 40 minutes past the hour. People in the chat, can you write that for anyone who jumps in or if they don't know what's going on? All right, I'm leaving now. I'll catch you in, oh, let me put the music back up because that'll be helpful for when we do the fade. Oh, there we go. See you later. Well, hey guys, I'm back. I'm not going to make the same mistake twice. I'm going to mute the music this time so I don't accidentally turn it up again for you. I hope you guys had a good break. Oh, I'm going to adjust this a little bit. Hello, there you are. Oh, I feel refreshed. Yay! And I hope you guys do too. I know that was a longer one than you normally do, but I'm tired, so I needed that extra couple minutes. What was I going to say? Yes, while I was gone, my headphones are like, oh, in my hair now. I got a message from Kev. I don't think he's watching this show. I don't think he's in the chat. But we were talking about show topics, and he brought up his interesting week. I assume you guys all know what's been going on over at Kevin's channel. He had several people on from the ACA, the Austin Atheist Community Group. I forget what it stands for. Austin Community of Atheists, something like that. Anyway, talking about the whole transphobic split, I guess, basically the transphobic flare-up, or I guess maybe coming forward, the revelation of the transphobia in the community and various people's reaction to how it was handled. And he's going to be talking about that on the happy hour as well. So we have a lot of things to cover. So definitely tune into Kevin's channel and watch that. It might be one of the last ones on Kevin's channel for a while because, as you guys might know, Google is getting rid of Hangouts, and as a consequence, we aren't going to be doing the happy hour in our traditional way anymore. We'll do it maybe through OBS, and we'll see what happens with that. Yeah, and also, if you guys haven't checked it out yet, Essence of Thought put out a video where objectively subjective, and I don't know who the other person was. It sounded like Ina, but maybe it wasn't. So really sorry if I just sort of like embarrassed myself there by assuming somebody wasn't the writer, but had a really nice video reading out the personal statements of various people involved with the community and their reaction to the series of events that led to a new board and several people leaving. So go check that out as well. You should be, sort of witnesses to what they observed and their takes on it and their emotions, because there is a whole discourse out there from the side of Matt Dillahunty and Rationality Rules, so-called Rationality Rules, with their takes on it, and this is sort of the collective voice of people who had a different view. But before we went back to the Carl thing, I just wanted to play this.
How about this? I'm just terrified of Christy Winters, Kevin. How about this? I'm just terrified of Christy Winters, Kevin. How about this? I'm just terrified of Christy Winters, Kevin. How about this? I'm just terrified of Christy Winters, Kevin.
I think we need to make that a regular in the happy hour. Oh, that amuses me. It amuses me to no end. All right, I will. Maybe I'll come back to that. Are you guys ready for more Carl nonsense? Some of this is kind of boring and pedantic because, again, it's just Carl making things up. But we're going to try to plow through at least another 30 minutes of it. So that's what I'm aiming for. Go for, 2-hour show seems fair. Okay.
Xenophobia, maybe?
I think it's going to be about 10 times what's claimed.
He is. It's he's just making stuff up at this point.
But the thing is, like, this is why I think that it's worth us talking about the consequences of mass immigration, because I think that.
So now he wants to link mass immigration to to a series of criminal conspiracies within a specific demographic that he's selected to focus on, and tie that to mass immigration. Again, this is racism. It's just racism.
There are a lot of people in these communities who don't identify as English,
and again, I guess not rape. And where is he getting what people identify as? He doesn't know. It's just his bigotry. Do a rap over it. Yeah. I should get that on a hip-hop beat. I said.
Who actually don't like the
Get
English.
Carl's little
and
admission.
They've caused a huge amount of social wounds. And I think that that's what has produced Tommy Robinson.
And of course Carl isn't talking about the wounds produced by the Catholic Church. Here. Globally. Not just in England, but globally. Now he wants to focus on this one specific demographic and then generalize it to an entire community, and then generalize it to mass immigration. GTFO, Carl.
And I don't think that the Tommy Robinsons of the world are going to go away until that's addressed.
Oh, right. So we have to basically make England white, and then Tommy Robinson won't have anything to complain about. No, because he'll got what he wanted. You white supremacist.
And it's
You
really
like Tommy
thorny,
Robinson.
isn't it?
So I don't know why you're speaking about it as if Tommy Robinson's a bad thing. You like Tommy Robinson.
I think the fact that someone like Tommy Robinson has to exist is a bad thing.
What?
Have you spoken to him since he's been inside?
Wait. You were in UKIP with Tommy. You were the one trying to actually get him membership, Carl. So, you're such a weasel. You're such a weasel.
Well, no, obviously not.
I'll give him my love when you do.
Well, yeah, I'll say, the guys who hate you say hi. But I don't think he's that bad, man.
I think he's a fucking prick. I'll be honest, I'm glad he's inside. Fuck him.
Why is he a prick, though? I'm genuinely curious.
Carl, why is he honestly
consistently violent individual?
How about the fact that he interrupted criminal cases involving sexual crimes and could have had them thrown out? And if you care so much about victims, you wouldn't want to see the justice system interfered with. How about that, Carl? How about that for an objection? You morally inconsistent racist bigot.
Needlessly so as well. Like, he's just a fucking hooligan with jumped up ideas. That's all he is.
Oh, I didn't mean to turn that off.
You have to understand, man. That
have to understand what, Carl.
The thing that really annoys me is he turns up at the last second at the fucking the Huddersfield rape kit thing in Leeds.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Yes.
All the hard work's been done, right? The victims have spoken out about it. The local community have done something about it. The police have got involved. The CPS, the fucking prosecution team have all done their bit. He turns up at the last second, and all his fans are like, "Oh, he's exposing the Muslim rape." No, he isn't. He stood outside a court being a prick.
Yep.
Why do you think they do that though?
Because you want to interfere with the trial for the sake of their own publicity? Isn't it obvious? Why don't you care about the perverting the course of justice or having a mistrial, Carl? Why are you immediately sympathizing with the white supremacist who's trying to interfere with justice?
Who does what?
Him and his fans. Why do you think they do that?
Well, again, the whole thing is he's not answering a question, he's asking one. Ugh. God. He's so slimy.
I think Tommy might have started off as genuine concern, but now it's a grift. He earns his money, and he's done very well.
Being generous, Kevin.
He lives in a very nice house in Berkshire.
Do you know what he did before he was an activist?
More of these questions. He started the EDL, didn't he? He was convicted for criminal fraud, wasn't he? He was convicted for getting in fights in the streets. That's what he was doing before he picked up this grift.
Salon or something.
Yeah, he was a really successful businessman. He used to buy homes and renovate them and sell them and make loads of money. I don't think he needs the money.
Well, no, it doesn't necessarily need.
Again, Carl's distracting from the trial.
Money, like billionaires still
hanging out with the BNP.
Yeah, but I don't think that's really what Tommy's about. I've met him a bunch of times, and he never talks to me about money.
Well, he doesn't talk to you about money because he knows you're not going to give him money. Or at least he's not trying to get money from you. He's trying to get money from his boobs. You're not one of his marks.
Well, I don't see why you'd think that. I mean,
well, look at his bus. Look at his bus at money raising recently, right before he was sent back to jail. He does it all the time, Carl. Just because you met him doesn't mean he didn't ask about money. So what? He never asks anyone for money. You watch his videos. Do you see what he does?
Maybe, but I don't see him I don't see him doing that very much. Whenever I've met.
So this is an appeal to personal incredulity or personal ignorance. Oh, I don't know about it, so it must not happen. No, Carl, that's not how it works. Kevin's telling you about it right now.
And he's been very much concerned about the things the causes he talks about, rather than getting money. But well, hang on. Let's assume that Tommy was an entirely cynical actor, right? And he didn't believe anything that he said, and he was just doing it for the money. Let's talk about the hundreds of thousands of people, millions in fact, on Facebook who were following him and really are concerned about his cause. Why are they interested in Tommy confronting these grooming gang guys?
So now he wants Kevin to speculate on what's going on inside the head and some hypothetical people on Tommy Robinson's Facebook page? Is this what passes for intelligent conversation in Sargon's head? Empty speculation based on a hypothetical that has absolutely no connection to the real world. This is why he doesn't want to talk to me. Because this is a pointless conversation. There's literally no value in that question. Or, and I like Kevin, but there's going to be no value in his answer because it's just literally just made up out of your opinion. It has, it's just two people on their opinion, and Carl is promoting racist ones. No wonder he doesn't want to be pinned down. No wonder you're afraid of me. What was that phrase? Should we hear it again?
How about this? I'm just terrified of Christy Winters, Kevin. How about this? I'm just terrified of Christy Winters, Kevin.
Yeah, we know. We all know, Carl.
Because I agree with you. Hang on. I agree with you that it looked. I mean, I agree it was foolish for him to go down there, right? There was no apparent good from my perspective could come of it. And
then why didn't you just say that from the start? Why did you have to go with sympathizing with Tommy? Just say that from the start. He messed up the trial. He could have messed up the trial. It was a dumb thing to do. I understand why, considering he'd been off, like on community or a suspended sentence for that time he did before, and now he's in jail and putting another trial in jeopardy. Going to do it again? Yeah, that makes sense to me. That's all you had to say, Carl.
If I was Tommy, I'd just be sat back and applauding, just going, finally, justice is going to be served, right? I wouldn't want to get in the way of that at all. And yet, emotionally, I think that these people are compelled to go and confront these groups.
Oh, okay, so here we go, feels. Their feels are okay. But when people feel threatened because a white supremacist yells, go back to where you came from when they're an American, you can't relate to that. That's just a joke. That's just Trump not knowing geography. Again, your limited notion of empathy.
Rumors. Why do you think that is?
It's always with white supremacists.
Why it is, because obviously you've got a natural one to, you think these people are guilty, and obviously they were eventually found guilty. And frankly, if they'd been lynched from the lamppost, I wouldn't have cried a tear for them.
Yeah,
the point being is that we live in a system where people get a fair day's hearing in court. And Tommy potentially put that in danger, having done so previously and been told, if you do this again, you're going to fucking prison. And he did it again, and he went to prison. It's not a surprise, Tommy. You've got no one else to blame. But
I'm not defending Tommy.
Variety of different reasons, don't they?
Yeah, you are defending Tommy.
Genuine out fucking bigots. Some of them do genuinely care. Some of them are just fucking stupid. There are loads of reasons.
Well, I think there's a reason that they are the ones waving the English flags.
Well, historically, the ones waving the English flags have been the skinheads who are openly racist. So, yeah, you might have a connection there, Carl.
Because they're mindless jingoistic idiots, yeah.
No, I don't think that's it, man. I think the identity of being English is important to them.
Again, he's just speculating. I think they think this. Who cares what you think they think? If you don't know, shut your mouth. Talk about facts that we can all look at, or maybe give your opinion. What am I eating? I am eating Studentenfutter. Can you guys see that? It's got nuts and raisins. I like the hazelnuts. It's got, things in German I can't pronounce. Hazelnuss, I can know that one. Cashew-kern. And another one I can't pronounce. A couple things I can't pronounce. So that's what I'm doing. I'm snacking my way through. I'm keeping my energy levels up. I hope it's not coming across too much on the mic. I'll step back a bit. I'm trying to be quiet. Alright.
Well, if the only thing you've got going for you is you happen to have been born on a piece of land, that's sad.
It's not just that, it's the culture.
And the thing that annoys me most about, especially about English nationalism over anything else, is that the people who are most nationalistic about England are the people who have been given the shittest end from England.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
I find that fascinating.
I grew up in a council estate and there would be England flags everywhere. In the high-rise towers, the poorest people, other than I suppose homeless people, and yet you walk around.
No, James, Studentenfutter doesn't actually contain students. I think it's just like uni student food, or maybe it's a different word of Studenten. I don't know. Yeah, I'm pretty bad at German, even though I speak quite a lot of it. There's still a lot I don't know. It's a whole language.
Around Mayfair. The poshest part of fucking London. I've never seen an England flag.
Do you want to know something really interesting? I've met a lot of Etonians recently, and they're all right. Right?
Carl is just such a numpty. They're all right, actually.
It's weird. I thought they were going to be absolute assholes, but they're not. They're actually.
It's amazing how wrong Carl is about most things when he actually encounters it, isn't it?
Okay. Oh, Carl Benjamin, everybody.
Well, hey man, I've been right to the top and the bottom of our society, actually. And one thing that I've learned.
Really, have you ever been homeless, Carl? Really?
Is that the sort of progressive middle classes are well out of touch.
Well, I think the middle classes in general are, because they're comfortable enough.
I think it depends on how you define out of touch. Lots of people are out of touch with lots of things. Its translation would be university student food. Thank you, by the way. The translation from the German. I mean, there's a lot of things I'm out of touch with. There's other things that people in the higher up are out of touch with. People in the working classes are out of touch with relative. I mean, it's easy for Carl to just do lazy stereotypes because that's pretty much how he operates 24/7.
But I don't know necessarily about the progressive middle class and the conservative middle class.
Well, they probably are too, to be honest. But I haven't been paying too much attention to
them. Who cares?
All right, a couple of things I have to bring up because you are clearly scared to talk to Christy. So I'm going
I don't want to change the subject yet, right?
Well, no, I did want to ask about the.
Yeah, because you guys talked about immigration for like an hour now. So yeah, let's talk about why you won't talk to me.
Well, we can.
Right, okay. It's nearly 11:30, and I'm not fucking staying on all night. So
okay, fair enough. Let me finish with this thing. So I really want just people to consider that that the left, the sort of left you inhabit, recognizes foreign cultures, right? And I think that essentially what you guys should do, I think if you want a better understanding of why the working class hate the left, is because essentially I think you guys should look at the English working class like the way you look at foreign cultures.
Again, Carl, I have to interject here. You say the working class hate the left. No, they don't. On a whole,
they do.
No, they don't. Carl, there are huge swathes of working class areas in the north of England, especially in places like Wales and Scotland, and in the Midlands, Birmingham, a very working class place, solid labour. So it's not universal at all.
I would be interested to see how long that's going to last for me.
Working class people
last longer than your party did,
Tommy
mate.
Robinson probably do hate the left, and that's okay. I wouldn't expect any different. But the idea that A, the working class are a monolith, and B, that all of them hate the left is just
I realise I'm speaking in
untrue.
Yeah. I'm speaking broadly, but I think that the facts are in, man. The Labour Party is the party of the middle class now.
You're so ridiculous, Carl.
Both of the major parties
You're so ridiculous
because those are the swing voters that win elections.
He's ignoring the Lib Dems. He's ignoring the Lib Dems. He's ignoring the Conservatives. He's not basing this on any recent election results, either for council seats or the EU. God, he's so.
The Tories are more upper middle class. But anyway,
okay, so who's the working class party? And if you say UKIP,
no, the working class are kind of hate everyone at the moment.
Oh, Carl knows everything. You know, I'm really glad he knows what working class women are feeling and facing. I'm sure he's not going purely from a man's perspective, a sort of cis man's perspective here, just speculating his own opinions and generalizing them onto an entire class of people. No.
By anyone.
Well, I think that's understandable, and I think they should hate all of the fucking bourgeois parliamentarians not serving their interests in the slightest. Yeah, I think that's true.
But the thing is, as soon as you say that, then you realise that their interests are like being English. You know, like they
what?
They are not as refined as others are, and I don't know how to explain it properly because I've not had it before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Did he just say, I don't know how to explain it properly because I've never had to before? I have to hear that again. Where are we at? 38:18. This is ridiculous. Alright, that's too far. 30 seconds? Yeah.
UKIP.
No. The working class are kind of hate everyone at the moment. I don't think they feel they're being served by anyone.
Well, I think that's understandable, and I think they should hate all of the fucking bourgeois parliamentarians because not serving their interests in the slightest. Yeah, I think that's true.
But the thing is, as soon as you say that, then you realize that shit, their interests are like being English. You know, like they are not as refined as others are, and I don't know how to explain it properly because I've not had to before.
He did say that. All right. This is another case where Carl starts a sentence and he doesn't really know where it's going to go. He doesn't have a destination in mind. So he said that the working class are interested in being English and they're not very refined. And then he just stumped himself. he just stumped himself with his own thoughts. Why does he go on these shows? Carl, why do you do this to yourself? Why do you start a sentence and you don't know where it's going to go? It's just, you're such a fraud. You're just such a fraud. Oh my goodness.
Okay, right. Just as an aside, but I think it's still relevant to the point you're making. How do you square your concept of the major parties not looking after the interests of the working class?
Get back to me,
your
Kevin.
Idea that you wanted Jacob Rees-Mogg to be prime minister.
Oh, memes. And to be honest with you, I think Mogg would have done a good job in Brexit.
I don't know that Mogg does anything well other than a weird foppish character that he's playing, and he's doing very well. It's a brilliant piece of method acting, I think.
I don't think it's going to act. This is the thing. I met a lot of Etonians, man, and I think it's kind of bred into them.
His sister's like a normal
More
person.
stereotypes.
I mean, she has a posher name.
No, she's not.
Amazing, but by comparison, she's like a reasonably normal. Like you could have maybe tea with her or something. Whereas Jacob Rees-Mogg's like a fucking Victorian vaudeville act or something. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, but did you not watch him hanging out with Jess Phillips?
I did, yeah.
It was actually adorable, wasn't it?
I don't know.
What does this have to do with his ability to be leader?
Adorable. The bit.
Well, just the way that
memes
they
and he's
other.
adorable.
Like the fact that she expected him to be like. She expected him to be awful, right? And
it's just stream of consciousness. Why is he bringing up Jess Phillips at this point? It just shows that she lives in his head rent-free. He went from talking about Mogg to bringing up Jess Phillips, who hasn't been talked about for like an hour. Kevin, Carl, she lives in your head, rent-free. You think about her all the time. Is that because of the police investigation? The one that's still ongoing the last time I saw? Or that video that you put up? Malicious communications? Also, if you read the statute in England, the number of times that you lied about what she laughed at, laughing at the idea that men don't get an opportunity to bring up men's issues is what she laughed at, and you said she laughed at male suicide, that could be considered defamation as part of the Malicious Communications Act. So, I'm not surprised that police investigation is still going on, to be honest.
He wasn't. He was actually really nice to her, and you could see that she was really warming to him. And it was
on a personal level, you can be an awful person and still be like nice on an interpersonal level. Like, I mean, obviously this is Godwin's law to the max. I'm not comparing him to him, but apparently it was a very personal chap you could have tea and cake with.
Well, not if you were Jewish, you know.
Well, maybe not if you were Jewish. That's fair.
Yeah.
But so you can have like interpersonally, you can be very nice, but he still votes for awful shit and is a very unpleasant chap in political terms.
Right.
So, but anyway, okay, right. So we're fucking moving on now. Right?
Okay.
Couple of things from the campaign I did definitely want to bring up.
Sure.
Were you aware that you were employing a Holocaust denier? Reverend Simon Side.
You know who, Carl.
He is not a Holocaust denier.
What do you mean? Have you seen the clips of him denying the Holocaust, or at least? He's just asking questions. Yeah, no, the questions have been answered. If you're still asking the questions, you're denying.
As far as I saw, he was saying that it shouldn't be illegal to discuss the Holocaust, even in a skeptical way.
Well, no, but he was literally laying out the stuff like, oh, well, I've heard that the gas chambers would have had to have run for 5 extra years to do the thing, blah, blah, blah. He was spewing Holocaust denial rhetoric.
Well, I mean, he probably has heard these things. I mean, I've heard these things too, but I
Well, yeah,
have
but to
obviously
blurt
looked
them out
into it more
and
than
then
he
not
has.
say, oh, well, that's a lot of old bollocks, isn't it? Suggests to me that you're putting it out there.
Well, I mean, go and engage it, I say.
No,
I think that
Carl, this is it. You don't have to engage it because it's been debunked. And if you're putting it out there without showing that it's been debunked, you're just putting it out there as Holocaust, muddying the waters in denial. Make the connections. Use your brain. Think all the way through. Logical conclusions. What are the consequences of putting up Holocaust questioning that has actually been debunked? As if it's for people who haven't come across that stuff before. And you're giving them the doubt, but you're not giving them the refutation of the questions? That's propaganda.
It's quite evident that
there's plenty of information out there that the Holocaust took place and is a real thing. If you're still denying it, then you're a Holocaust denier.
Yep.
Well, he wasn't denying. He was saying that he didn't know. But even then, I do agree with...
So you can make a video to say you don't know, but you can't look it up? I know, Carl, that you might think that passes as quality, but everyone else thinks it's irresponsible garbage. Lazy. Incomplete, irresponsible. Racist. Or, in this case, anti-Semitic. And also sort of Nazi defending.
The point that you shouldn't criminalize this sort of thing. That's terrible.
Wait. What? Is that you're claiming that this was what the video was about? But when Kevin asked about it, you didn't know what he was talking about? You're so disingenuous, Carl.
Well, it's not criminal here in Britain.
I know.
Yeah.
It's one of the few countries in Europe where it's not.
Oh, that's so
There are
true.
some in Europe, but I mean, given their history, it's understandable why they might have overreacted to it. But okay.
Oh yeah, I agree with you. But like, it's
but
still.
Were you aware, going into that campaign or going into hiring him as a security guard, of his statements?
No, but it doesn't bother me, and I'll hire him again.
So you're happy with that? Just being associated with somebody who's put out Holocaust questioning without demonstrating that that's garbage, and you're happy with that garbage to be put out there.
So you're happy to pay a Holocaust denier money?
Yeah. He's not a Holocaust denier.
Yes,
he is a Holocaust denier.
I don't think so.
Well, you're wrong.
Well,
yeah.
I spoke to him personally, and he didn't seem to be a Holocaust denier.
Oh! I spoke to him personally. Oh, right. Because you're speaking to him personally would just negate what he's actually put up on YouTube somehow, Carl.
How often did you discuss the Holocaust with him?
Well, when it came up in the news.
What did it come up in the news?
He said no. I just wanted to be able to have the discussions about it.
Right, but who's saying he can't have a discussion about it?
Well, lots of people.
Like who?
The general sort of cultural attitude.
The general cultural attitude. No, they're just saying be responsible, and if you've got that stuff, here are people trying to question the Holocaust. Here are the facts that show that they're wrong.
6 million Jews, but the thing is, it wasn't 6 million Jews, was it?
Yes, it was.
6 million Jews.
Romani, it was 6 million Jews.
Gays,
See, this is the kind of Holocaust denial that you bought into from his questioning, his crap questioning. Because it's been pointed out, it's like the number I saw was closer to 12 million estimated, 6 million of which were Jews. And he's not saying, oh, it wasn't 6 million Jews. Yes, it was, Carl. That's according to the estimates, best estimates I've ever seen. So you even bringing that number down and making it sound softer is helping them.
There were lots of people included in that number. Why they're not?
It was about 6 million Jewish people, but there were also others as well on top of that, if that makes sense.
Right. Okay. I'll have to go back and check the numbers. But
yeah,
but the point is this is treated like a sacred gospel.
Well, yeah. Look up the facts, because then you would know that 6 million in total is wrong. You idiot, and you wouldn't be putting that crap out there. He is engaging in Holocaust denial himself. Sorry, I'm eating my nuts. Ha ha ha! That's what I said. Yeah, it's ridiculous. He's helping their argument right now. He's promoting their ideas right now.
And I agree. I think it's silly to treat anything like a sacred gospel.
Well, no, it's not a matter of it being treated like a sacred gospel. It's the information's there. If you're
Yes.
still asking questions, even though the questions have been answered.
It's like debating whether or not Pearl Harbor happened in December of 1941. You can question it, but then there are facts that are available that tell you exactly when it happened. When it happened. Yeah. These proven facts are treated as gospel. They're treated like facts because they're accurate. It's not a matter of faith. It's a matter of observation.
Answered. That's not asking questions in good faith. That's denying.
Yep.
I don't agree. But even if I were to concede that, again, he wasn't. He was saying that it should be legal to ask to discuss the Holocaust. And even deny the Holocaust.
An entire video about a non sequitur because it isn't illegal.
Well, no, he didn't say. I don't know whether he said it was legal in this country, but
so he was making
it shouldn't be illegal.
Sure.
Well, no, he might have been talking about Germany or Austria.
He might have been, but you don't know. So now you're just making up a defense for him. You're just defending a Holocaust denier based on what you assume he would have said in a video you haven't watched. And we're supposed to take you seriously, Carl? You literally live in a delusional land of your own making, where all these hypotheticals suddenly have to be treated with some sort of seriousness. You're a joke, man. You're a joke.
Is that a big concern for him? The internal workings of the Austrian fucking political
I don't know. Is it a big concern for you that he spoke about it in one video?
Oh, wow. Why are you making such a big deal out of the fact that someone is putting out misinformation like only 6 million people in total were killed in the Holocaust that I just repeated on your show, Kevin, as a form of Holocaust denial? He's so disingenuous.
No, well, actually, you spoke about it in 2 videos.
Did he?
But it is a problem for me when people running for office employ Holocaust deniers.
Yep.
That I don't like.
I don't consider him to be a Holocaust denier.
Well, yeah, just because you basically engage in it yourself, as we've seen. So maybe you're not the best judge of who and who isn't a Holocaust denier. You Holocaust denier.
Right. Yeah. Okay. What your feelings are interact with reality.
Thank you, Kevin. Yes. Yeah.
I've analysed what he said.
I just asked him, do you think it happened? And he was like, yeah, I think this happened and that happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Again, that's not what Kevin is basing it off of. Kevin's basing it off of watching his videos, which he also clipped and they were circulated around during the campaign, which you ignored.
We'll continue to pay him.
I don't think that you are fairly representing him.
You don't watch the video, have you, Carl?
You don't have a leg to stand on and fairly representing any motherfucker. I think I did. That's all I'll say. Well, really, because didn't you say that Jess Phillips had laughed at suicide? Even though I told you 4 fucking years. She didn't.
No, she didn't. You liar.
No, she didn't.
Yes,
watch the tape.
She laughed at the very raising of men's issues in Parliament. That includes suicide.
Oh no, that was not it.
Carl.
You liar.
You said she laughed when the issue of male suicide was brought up.
Yes.
That isn't fucking true.
No, it's not.
That's the primary male issue in this country.
But you don't get to pick that.
You can
and that's not why she laughed.
By the way, I suspect that this may be clipped and sent to Jess Phillips and her lawyers may be involved again because you're repeating the same scurrilous lie.
That's another lie, it's on the video.
Yeah, she laughed.
Philip Davies says
mentioned male suicide.
Yeah, but he's talking about male issues.
He's not. He's talking about speaking about men's issues.
According to you. According to the death statistics.
Don't even try to high road here, Carl. Don't even try to high road on this issue because you are factually wrong. You can go back and watch the tape. And I wish Kevin, I don't know if he brings up the tape, but I wish he would bring up the tape. It's on the Carl Benjamin MP one where Davies, is that the guy's name? Is talking about how men don't have an opportunity to discuss men's issues in Parliament. He's talking about men talking about men's issues. That's when she laughed. Not at men's issues, at the idea that men don't have an opportunity to talk about men's issues, even though they're like 85%, 90% of people who are elected in Parliament. So yes, Carl is again misrepresenting. He's defaming and putting out libel. So if it's in print, it's libel, right? Or published. Libelous things, libelous statements, misrepresenting her.
Well, no, that's the number one cause of death for men under 40,
45,
yeah,
suicide.
But in terms of, it could be any number. Different men's rights activists, for instance, would bring up other issues as well.
Well, good
So
for them, but I think that the thing that's
Also-
killing men most is probably the biggest issue.
Also, you lied when you said that she blocked the debate when she didn't.
She absolutely did.
No, she didn't.
Yes, she did.
Firstly, Carl,
It
she's one
happened.
of 10 people on that committee, so there's no way she could block it in of herself.
Yeah.
Yep.
Secondly, the debate happened. You do know that happened, right?
Yeah, after
Sorry.
the video and the statements I'd made, yeah.
You said she blocked it.
Well, how could it? how the
After
fuck
your
did it happen
video.
before then?
She didn't have to block it, Kev.
She didn't.
Yes, she did, Kev.
No.
Listen, I'll tell you how it happened if you want.
Yeah,
Go
go
for
on.
it.
If you don't know,
Come on.
right, she's on that panel and she says, you'll get your debate when I get equal representation, right? So that means that she knows she can stop this. And she did using her little feminist network. It turns out that she had got them to block it by claiming that Philip Davies had misfiled the paperwork.
But Carl, right? She didn't block it.
The debate happened.
happened.
It's in hindsight.
In the
Yes,
upcoming video,
after
I'll
the fact
introduce-
the debate happened. but
What
at
after the
time,
fact?
She blocked it in order
She
to
couldn't
essentially
block
make
Carl.
it.
Yes.
She could.
She cannot block
Where's
it.
the vote?
She is one person on a committee of 10, and she's the only
So
woman.
what? Do you think that she doesn't have any influence among the other people on that committee?
Well, so the other 9 men involved there are so weak they capitulated to her.
Maybe they're feminists, Kev.
Oh God! You know,
What,
again, he's
including the
making
Tories?
stuff up.
Some of them.
Oh God. You would just live in a delusional world. You're literally just making things up now. What? There's Jess Phillips is such a scary feminist. If she was that powerful, why isn't she running the government? She can run this committee. Why is she only doing it on this one thing? What are you even talking about? She blocked it secretly by, manipulating conservatives into what? Just like cloud cuckoo land, Carl.
Eight
Oh,
Tories. When
the
Dominic
debate
Raab said he
tonight,
wasn't a
Carl.
feminist, 8 Tories came out and said they were. So don't sit there and act like it's beyond the pale.
But
But even Kev,
3 out of like
she
300, 8 out of 300.
She was a feminist and then voted for the fucking rape
she
clause.
went on TV after that event and was stood there with Philip Davies, saying, laughing in his face, saying, "Oh no, we didn't stop it. You just forgot to file the paperwork."
Good.
Don't give me no.
After his fucking face.
Oh wait. So if he forgot to file the paperwork, then he hadn't done things properly. And if she pointed that out, it would just be the fair application of the rules of how things are meant to get done. But considering that the debate happened, she didn't block it in this case. Davies messed up the paperwork. That's not blocking it. He messed up the paperwork. If he hadn't messed up the paperwork, then you wouldn't be able to use an objection. So it's not her screwing up. He screwed up. According to you, Carl, the man screwed up. So why aren't you mad at him for screwing up? And plus, the debate happened. So your entire premise is false.
He deserves
Total bullshit to think that she wasn't responsible for that.
Oh wow! Just of course it was the feminist. It was the grand feminist conspiracy. Of course, I keep saying Kevin when I meant to say Carl. It's hard with Kevin Carl. It's very close. Carl just will make up whatever he needs and claim it's true in order to try to win a debate. And he has no evidence for any of this. Yeah, Sargon reveals a secret conservative ploy to save feminism. Everyone has been infiltrated, yes. But only when it comes to this one bill can she wield her magical feminist powers, apparently. He's so ridiculous.
She was acting like the cat that got the cream. She absolutely did that.
I show in the video upcoming, right?
Yes, after the fact, yes.
After
It may
what
well have happened
fact?
After that.
After what fact?
But that time, she had done this, Kev.
No, she couldn't.
No, it was the
because
same
She
talk.
did, Kev.
The whole thing being debated was whether this debate was going to happen in the main chamber of the Commons or in Westminster Hall. That was all that was being discussed. She couldn't stop it from happening. That's not possible.
Which is why it eventually happened, I imagine. But she did everything she could to obstruct it and make it more difficult to happen.
He doesn't know what
And
happened.
She didn't block it.
She did block it. She blocked it, and obviously the paperwork had to be refiled. Listen, I know that you don't like. I know that you don't like the fact that
he's
these
just.
things can happen.
Yeah, Kevin is right.
happened.
Yes, it happened.
Oh God!
So
Carl.
what? Oh, what? So what? So the debate happened on the day when Philip Davies was like, "Hey, can we have a debate?" Or was it afterwards when she said, when he eventually
It
pushed
can't
it through?
happen on the same day.
I didn't say it happened on the same fucking day, Kevin. Okay, listen.
It happened. Here's the thing. He screwed up the paperwork. He had to refile the paperwork. and the debate happened. All of those things, according to you, Carl, are true. So you really have nothing to complain about because Just didn't do anything. Davies screwed up the paperwork. Davies refiled the paperwork. He had his little meeting in the side room. That's what happened. Just calm down.
Listen, right. Let's move on to the next.
It's not oppression. It's called bureaucracy.
Anyway, right. I briefly want to ask you about the Kim Darroch thing. The
Kim Darroch. Oh, the diplomats.
The diplomat, yeah, the British ambassador, well, now ex-British ambassador.
Yes.
All right. Well, guys, okay.
Given that you're a fan of Trump,
that seems like a good place to leave off. I don't know if Kevin does more with the campaign at all. I know I would have more questions for him, definitely, but I think at this point they'd been going for an hour and a half. Kevin was probably getting a bit mentally tired. I did not say it had to happen on the same day. But it happened, didn't it? They shouldn't block a debate that happened. Alright guys, hey, speaking of Kevin, again, we're going to be on air in about, I don't know, it's 14:22 my time, and I would be expecting the Hangout link at 19:45. So 5 hours and change from now. We're going to be talking about Kevin's exciting week. We will be talking about other stuff. Very precise. And we're going to be talking about that Tom McDonald video, What If I Was Black? And getting Kevin's reaction to that, and a discussion about how to talk about racial justice. This is because of why I wanted to bring it up, was because I've been thinking a lot after this last week with the chanting of the Send Her Back racist Klan chant. What can I do as a white person to be a better ally in racial justice? What are the ways that I can more openly discuss this or put this information out there? What can we do as people who want to see justice to talk about it more generally? And then this video came out, and it's certainly a way to talk about it. So that's why I wanna do it on a happy hour. We kind of have a bit of a history. You know, we watched This Is America, and I think we watched I'm Not Racist by Joyner Lucas, as well as, you know, the fun one with Little Dicky. So this will be another one in that sort of like examination of racial relations vein. All right, guys. Yeah, until I guess next Saturday. I've been Christy. Y'all been awesome. And I'll see you on the happy hour in a couple hours. If you like this channel, you can go ahead and subscribe. If you like what I do on a weekly basis, you can support me on Patreon. You can follow me on Twitter. And I'm not so much on Facebook. So, but click the notification bells if you want notifications of my more random video schedules. Hopefully that'll be settling down in the coming weeks. All right. I'll talk to y'all later. It was a lot of fun. Thank you guys in the chat. Appreciate it. What do I think about Boris? Oh, sorry, just very quickly. What do I think about Boris dissolving Parliament? I think it's anti-democratic. I don't think that that's a good way to go forward. I personally would like to see another referendum still. But it's not my, you know, I don't have a stake. I don't have a say. But that's my take for what it's worth. All right. See you later, everyone. Yeah, see you in a few hours. Okay.